right. But I want to ask you about this money thing, because under Buckley DeLeo, the constitutional ruling, a guy or woman who has all the money in the world and can spend all that money, and I bet that Mike Bloomberg makes enough on a daily basis to finance this campaign. How do you beat him?
Well, he's doing that, Chris, already, and we should be ashamed of that as Americans, people who believe in democracy, that the oligarchs, if you have more money, you can buy your way. Now, but to your point...
Do you think Mike Bloomberg's an oligarch? Come on.
He is. I mean, he's not. He skipped Iowa. Iowans should be insulted. Not going to New Hampshire, buying his way into this race, period. The DNC changed its rules. They didn't change it for Senator Harris. They wouldn't change it for Senator Booker. They didn't change it for Secretary Castro. They changed it for the man with money. Did he buy his way into the debates? Absolutely he did, and it is a stain on democracy. But back to your point, money can buy you, it can't buy you love. It can get you some likes, though. It can get you a whole lot of likes. But the way that Senator Bernie Sanders is going to win this election is by building a grassroots movement, and that is exactly
starting tonight. You're going to win tonight?
Starting tonight. That is my prediction, that our senator is going to win.
I join you in that. Thank you, Tina Turner, State Senator Tina Turner, one of the greatest surrogates, I think, ever. Thank you. Back to you, Brian and Nicole. Tina Turner, State Senator from Ohio. Thank you. So here's the thing I'm trying to be consistent with everybody tonight when I get a chance to ask them these questions. How do you get from here to what I consider the big casino day of 1 month from now, when you have to win California, Texas, may well have to take on Mike Bloomberg by then? How does Bernie win in enough states to win the nomination?
I mean, he's doing well in California right now. There was a poll that came out in Texas that showed very clearly, a snapshot in time, but showed that the senator is doing better than any other Democrat in the red state of Texas. I mean, his mobilization is building a movement, which the senator has been solidifying, Chris, as you know, since 2015. He's never stopped. So unlike any other candidate running, he has been a candidate of the people since he first ran in 2016.
Well, what I like about the California thing is I always think, excuse me, everybody here, we should start in California. The weather's really nice. There's a lot of diversity out there, huge population. I used to call it the Rose Bowl primary. Let's go there. But we're not. That's not the real world. If your candidate gets in there, Senator, he is, to me, historically, the perfect candidate of the California Party, because the California Party is fairly left. It's a progressive party. It just is. Way back to Stevenson, it was always a tough party for the center. And then you have a guy who can buy media in L.A. market, which is the biggest market, not the second biggest market, but he can buy it. Jerry Brown, the governor out there, once told me you can buy your votes up. You can just keep buying and buying and buying, and the numbers do go up to a point. So that's, to me, the battle. Money versus ideology.
Or get the Democratic Party to change its rules for you because you are buying off the party as well.
What would the rule be?
I mean,
under the Constitution?
To get them on the stage. I mean.
Oh, that's from Ohio is still listening in Des Moines because she wanted a moment to respond. Nina?
Senator.
Thank you so very much. It's just ironic to me that somebody would defend the wealthiest people in this country over the working people of this country. We need real campaign finance reform to the extent that a Mayor Bloomberg can totally finance his campaign. He doesn't have to go out to the people. He doesn't have to build a movement. He doesn't have to talk to people. He can buy his way. It is the same attitude that the elites, maybe Jason likes the word elite over oligarch, but it's the same attitude that the elites had in 1930 against FDR. All of them lined up against him, and he said, I welcome your hatred, because he was standing up for the people. And that is the same message that Senator Bernie Sanders has to the everyday people of this nation, that I welcome the hatred of the elites because I am standing up for you. So cry me a river for the wealthy people in this country.
You work for a candidate who's part of the 1%. I have no problem with criticizing the system. The system that allows Mike Bloomberg to make all the money that he makes, the system that allows him to buy what he wants to buy, the system that allows him to buy himself into the administration and buy himself into the debates is a problem. But to call him an oligarch, I think, is a misnomer in this environment. And again, you're working for somebody who's part of the 1%. Do you call him an oligarch? No, you don't. You say he's a rich guy. Because just because somebody has a tremendous amount of money doesn't mean that they're not necessarily representing the people. And if you want to use the term elite, you can use whatever kind of term that you want to use. But at the end of the day, the enemy of this country, the enemy of the poor, is not just everybody who happens to be rich. It is a capitalistic system that abuses people. And if you want to speak about that, that's fine. But if you want to name call people, that's not going to help Bernie if he becomes a nominee, and he's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money.
I'm not name calling anywhere.
If he's going to need Mike Bloomberg's money down the road.
It's ironic that you're defending somebody that is buying his way through the democracy. Yes, you are.
I know this
you are
works on
defending
Twitter
him.
because that's how you guys operate. But when it comes to actual campaign politics, it makes sense to actually describe people for the positions that they have.
Is this about a word? Is this about a word, Jason? Is this about a word?
No, it's not just about a word. It's about the implications of it, and it's about criticizing the system versus criticizing individuals. Like I said, I wouldn't call Bernie Sanders an oligarch, and he happens to be part of the 1%. I would say he's somebody who's wealthy, but who's dedicated himself to trying to uplift people who are poor.
He just got there at the age of 78 years old.
Okay, let me end this. I just want to break, because I do like this debate, because it's a debate, and I like debates. Number two, do you want to change your word from oligarch?
No, I'm not changing. He doesn't tell me what to say and how to change my words. My words stand.
Well, Brian, it's back to you. I think that's the decisive conclusion of this back and forth. Your thoughts?
Can I say something about
Please,
Jason Johnson?
please,
Jason Johnson, a frequent guest on my show. I think this is a really important debate, and I'm really glad you didn't let it get boiled down to the use of a word. It is not about a word. Here's the other, and I understand different views about the system. The enemy is the guy in the Oval Office who thinks there were good people on both sides of Charlottesville. Yes. The enemy is a guy in the Oval Office who just got a permission slip to cheat in presidential elections. Yes. The enemy is a guy who called his generals dopes and losers who he didn't want to go into battle with. That is the enemy. And I am nauseous when I see Democrats fight amongst themselves. And I know that Republicans get no say. I've said I'll vote for, if y'all pick an automobile, I will vote for it. But I feel so wary when I see these really, really intense fights around someone trying to help y'all win.
My thing is this. Like I said, I'm an American citizen. I have no particular loyalty to the Democratic Party or any other party like that. But what I do think is this. I do think that if you're trying to build a coalition to get Donald Trump out of office, this sort of cute red meat stuff is fine on Twitter, but it's not how you're actually supposed to be operating a campaign. You can fight Mike Bloomberg on the issues. You can talk about stop and frisk. You can talk about the fact that people who work for Bloomberg had to sign an NDA so they can't talk about things he's done. That is all fair and reasonable. But when you reduce this to name calling instead of policy, you're doing the exact thing that Bernie supporters complain about. It's like just calling him a socialist.
Can I bring in Nina Turner, who serves as co-chair for the Bernie Sanders 2020 presidential campaign. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Great being with you.
I'm not sure the Bernie Sanders campaign understands the expectations game. You're supposed to go into voting night saying, oh, we're just lucky to be here. There's no way that Bernie Sanders can win. But what we're hearing from the Sanders team is, we got the wind at our backs. We think we're going to do great. We think we're going to win. Is there a risk to having the expectations be too high?
Well, it comes from putting in the work. I mean, actually, the senator has been working since the last election time in 2016. He's been on the ground with the people. He's carried his message. The entire Democratic platform, and think about this, John, is animated by what Senator Sanders talked about and pushed this party further to the left. Every single thing that's talked about on that stage, whether people want to be middle of the road about it, it is still animated by a foundation that he has created. Our team right here on the ground in Iowa, we just hit a 600,000 person milestone in terms of touches with voters in the great state of Iowa.
How disappointed will you be if Bernie Sanders does not win here tomorrow night? How much of a hit will that be in the campaign?
I'm not going to deal with that calculus right now, John. We in it to win it, baby. Like the Super Bowl tonight, we in it to win.
Does he have to win, though?
The Senator, we're here to compete, and we're here to win. Period. I mean, that's the goal. It's not to come in second, it's to win.
One of the things, I talked about the fact that the candidates, by and large, haven't gone after each other. We can stipulate that, but this has been mostly an above-the-board campaign. There have been some moments here and there. There have been some issues, though, with surrogates. And, of course, you know what I'm referring to. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib was on stage the other night and led a round of boos for Hillary Clinton. Let's play that.
It's all right. The haters will shut up on Monday when we win.
Right. Congresswoman Tlaib said she regretted that after. The next day, she got up, put out a message that she regretted it. I'm wondering, though, What message does that send when something like that happens? What message does it send to the voters in Iowa and the Democratic voters around the country?
She apologized. I mean, for us in our campaign, you know, we're out here to convince the voters that Senator Bernie Sanders is the best candidate to change their material conditions, period. So she apologized, and we're ready to move on. As we know, John, people have said things about the senator from I'm not going to support him to nobody likes him. You know, those kinds of things are not helpful. You know, it's as if I punched you in the face and you responded to me, but I'm just saying, and you responded to me, and then all of a sudden, I paint you as the aggressor. You know, the bottom line is this, is that we have been running a campaign that is multicultural, multi-generational, multiracial, rainbow mosaic, in terms of meeting people where they are and talking to people about the issues that they are concerned about, their families are concerned about, and how Senator Sanders is best positioned to be the type of champion to take them to the next level.
How important is the message of unity, though, going forward for Senator Sanders?
Well, we need to ask that question of all the candidates.
I am.
No, and I'm not saying that you're not, but some folks only ask that question when it comes to our campaign.
But let me ask you, let me point to one thing about why it's so important. There have been events with Senator Sanders where I thought it was interesting and notable that toward the beginning of his event, he would volunteer at the beginning of the event that he will support whoever the eventual Democratic nominee is. That's a strange thing to hear from
He's been saying that since 2016.
But it is at the beginning of the event.
But the reason why he continues to say it is because our campaign has been the only campaign plagued with that kind of question. You need to ask all of the candidates and all of the people who support those candidates, will they be willing to support Senator Bernard Sanders when he wins this primary?
All right. As you look forward, the best case scenario for you is winning Iowa, winning New Hampshire, which Bernie Sanders won before, winning Nevada.
And came close to winning this state.
Yep, and came close to winning Nevada. Did very well in Nevada 4 years ago. So if you go 3 for 3, you know then that people are going to start coming after you. Democrats, Republicans, everybody, the president will. Look to next summer. If Bernie Sanders is the nominee, you know the president's going to come at the senator with socialist. Socialist.
Listen, we have corporate welfare in the United States of America. I want to hear people talk about that. But when you have a senator that's standing up and saying to this country and to the workaday people of this nation that I am coming for the greed of Wall Street. I'm coming for companies that pay zero in federal taxes. Oh, Iowans, you deserve clean water, clean air, clean food. Hello, South Carolina, you deserve the same thing. Ohio, California, you name it. That the workaday people of this nation deserve better than what they're getting. It is really sad in the United States of America that corporations can run away with our tax dollars. President Trump gave, you know, the wealthiest people in this country a $1.6 trillion tax break. Nobody says a mumbling word. How much does that cost? Is that not socialism? It's socialism on the capitalist side. It's socialism for businesses. But when you have a candidate that says to the everyday people of this nation that I am going to restore the body politic to bend to your will, that I am going to change the material conditions for you and your family, your community, and this nation. That is what Senator Sanders is standing up for.